and how you can make it even more niche
Mm-hmm.
is like always a good exercise, right? But I think broadly anything that helps people connect, they're crying out for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can also criticize it. Don't worry about it, because it's literally, I came up with it, 2 hours ago. But I don't know, like I really feel like people kind of need to be pushed into like communicating and going back to the childlike version, like when we used to do it, when it was like zero expectations, when it was just fun and you were not overthinking about anything.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think how you could do, like, because the challenge with B2C, right, especially so this business inherently depends on network effects, right? And what I mean by that is that you need quite a lot of people on one side and you need quite a lot of people on the other side. And so those businesses are sometimes quite hard to test, right?
Okay.
Because you could have 100 like guys, 100 girls, and they just don't like each other for any other reason. And the idea could be amazing, but just the number of users wasn't high enough. So I'm thinking how you could test out something like this with as little technology as possible to see if it would work. Do you think like on like a tiny little like MVP test, if you have any single friends, you could just put them together, sort out some kind of interesting activities to them, and then if they love it,
oh yeah, I will push them there. Yes, I love it already.
But generally, I think it's good. Like a first date when you're just in a bar or in a pub, just chatting and drinking. It's less impactful, right? And you have hundreds of them, and so yeah, I guess it's a crowded market. That's the danger, right? Like, and you have an incredibly short amount of time when people see an advert to grab their attention. So you'd probably on the marketing side have to be creative about how you get people's attention. Referrals is always a good way to do that, right? So, okay, refer a single friend who you think would like this. And sometimes, like, what we want, like, I always kind of think of new feature ideas for Spotify, right? And then convince myself that it should be a product in itself. And sometimes very, very good ideas should be features of existing solutions rather than standalone products. Right? So that's just always something to like bear in mind. Like, have I just thought of a really good feature, or does it belong as its own app? Yeah, I mean, generally I like it. Like, it should be quite easy to test, should be quite easy to build as well. So.
It feels like a playground, and I don't have super huge expectations. I'm a hardcore beginner. I'm sure Yulia have told you that before. But it feels like a fun project, and I mean, everyone is constantly out there to meet new people, so it shouldn't be that hard. At least not in Lisbon.
That's it. I think try and start. Facebook, right? They started with one campus. Spotify started just in Sweden. So just think how you can like make it as niche as possible, so you know exactly who your user is. Maybe it's like, I don't know, is there any type of person that you think is a good fit for your idea, other than being single?
I think because like Blanca said that it's an approach that would work for herself, so it probably would be someone who is similar to Blanca.
Yeah, like the way Oh, did I freeze again?
No, a little bit, but it's fine. The sound's the important bit.
I think she lost the connection.
That's okay.
Sorry again. Yes.
No.
I turned off my camera because this is just a no-go. This is not a good thing for me. Okay, so yeah, like as Yulia mentioned before, yeah, probably we need someone like me who is a bit more like who takes it a bit more seriously, right?
Mm.
because this is definitely for people who want to pay more attention to the like who are a bit more I don't remember the English word. I was talking in a different language today. But yeah, who want to form genuine connections, not like Tinder, Bumble, where you have unlimited time to chat with one another and it's like
Yeah.
very superficial stuff, and it just goes nowhere. And also you have way too many options in front of you.
Yeah. Exactly how you find that person without knowing them, that I don't know. But I'm sure there's a way. Just
I'm not
thinking about,
sure. Yeah, I think you just need to try out different platforms, and then you need to do it every day, probably to so it will stuck in people's minds. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought about this yet, but I know that this is probably a difficult idea when it comes to this.
I mean, something I think about as well, right? Like almost kind of your initial idea before it took the romantic turn is that like there is a kind of oh wait.
It's way from my phone. I figured it's with data it will be better and easier.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a bit of like a loneliness epidemic at the moment, right? Especially in cities, like you said, post-pandemic, and a lot of big businesses, Tinder, Bumble, a million others, I'm sure, are really, really focused on this dating market. But I think there's probably more space, and people are less like bombarded by adverts for like making new friends than they are making like finding a romantic partner. And it reduces this like need for like for example, like have a partner, but would I like more friends? Yeah, for sure. Like, wouldn't everyone like more friends? But most of the population doesn't need another partner, you'd hope. So you have a bigger market size if you use that same kind of like niche like focus on a like an interesting activity if you went for friendships instead of romantic connections.
Okay.
And people are a bit less defensive, right? Like it doesn't matter what your friend looks like, it kind of matters what your romantic partner looks like.
I see an ad. Oh my god, already. This is a great set. Doesn't matter how your friend looks like, and then it's I don't know, human dressed up in an elephant costume or something. Oh, that was cute.
And that's a cool way to like, I don't know many people in Eddie I've just moved here. I would use something like that, right? That like just put 5 people together and you solve some interesting task. Why not? I reckon like only interesting, slightly quirky people would do something like that. That would be interesting for me.
Okay, very cool. Would you try this out?
For sure, yeah. Like I would try something like that out if it was for making friends. But yeah, as discussed, have a partner. But yeah.
I mean, me romantic partner as well. It like in the first round is just okay. Can we be friends first, right? At least in my head, it's mostly like that because I always am friendly.
But you always still have like a final customer, target customer in mind. So it's very different if a person is looking for a romantic relationship or if a person is looking for a friendship, like the connection. So it's important to
it's definitely a different. Well, it doesn't have to be a different product, but I think the messaging obviously has to be very different.
Yeah, and
sorry, Evia.
Sorry. Like I would also say, like both like ways. Like there is no wrong, like ways to go. If you do it for like for friendships or if you do it for romantic relationships, like both are good. So it's more but it will. But
yeah, like and you wouldn't really need anything to test this out, to be honest, right? Like, have you guys like so? I would use like a form builder for something like this, to be honest, right? Like you guys know like Google Forms or Typeform or something like that. My favorite one is called Fill Out.
Fill out.
Fill Out. It is a total machine. It has an incredible free plan. You can do all kinds of stuff on it, but like the logic is really good. The forms look great. You can add your own branding. You can add like a Stripe integration. So if you want to take payment at the end of the form, you can. And yeah, if I was building an MVP, that's what I would do, really. I would just send like who wants more friends and then send out the form to loads of people. And then when you've got enough, just create a little meetup and send them on a scavenger hunt or something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I think
more in a romantic way, because at least since I'm based in Lisbon, I just noticed that people usually go with, let's make new friends, and it's like a constant thing. Like every day they're making new friends. So I don't feel like they need help there. I mean, of course, like deepening it, they do need help there.
So
like,
it's less about the top of the funnel and more fine. Interesting.
I feel like there is more struggle when they're trying to form romantic relationships. I feel like they kind of, like, to me personally, there's not that much difference between forming like a friendship or a romantic one, because if you're friends first, then you're already excited about the other person, curious about the other person, and then it will organically go to a romantic side or not. But staying with that, the minute they put that label on it, that this is a date, whatever, I feel like people usually feel pressured.
Maybe, yeah. But that's the kind of thing you can kind of iterate and experiment, right?
I would say, yeah, it's a good idea to work on. I like it also, personally. For you, it's also now important to understand how, as Toby said in the beginning, how you can simplify it. What if it is again the one feature of everything you explain is that you could leave, which one would it be? And yeah, try to test it in some very simple way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
But as I said before, Toby, that there is a huge market for this, and there are huge brands like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, or whatever, so many other apps. But when you ask people if they like it, they usually will say, oh, hell no, it's actually it's super annoying, but we have no other options.
True. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's a means to an end, really, rather than being too enjoyable. Cool. Well, congrats on an exciting idea.
Thank you. I am excited. I'm very excited. I love meeting new people. So it's like a good fit with personality.
Awesome.
So I don't know if anybody else is joining, but let's now move with the following format. Since Blanca, you are the only participant, it's going to be also almost one-on-one consultation. I might join you with the questions. So let's have it as a discussion and more of a so I would be facilitating it to make sure that we stay around one topic for long enough period of time so we could go in depth into the topic. So the topic that I propose we discuss today is first no-code tools. So the tools which exist, the differences between them, the limitations of platform, and also the benefits. Alternatively, then the next topic we could talk about is actual product development, maybe. So, for example, questions like how much time does it take for the developers in no-code developers normally to execute their clients' orders, and what stages they go through, etc. And the third topic would be about the business. So no code agency. If you have other suggestions, you can add those. So what do you think, Blanca and Toby?
Sounds good to me.
I love it because I've heard of other no coding tools, and I've always wondered, like, what's the difference? Is there a popular one? What's the popular one? What is that based on? Yeah, I think it's amazing topics.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Toby, if you could also introduce yourself in a couple of words.
Yes, so I run a product development agency called Blue Mongoose, and we predominantly use no-code tools, not always, but most of the time, 80%. And really, we specialize in helping founders go from idea through to product market fit. So that's design, development, and beyond, really. We've been live for about 2 years, team of about 12 people, totally remote. I'm based in Eliceira with my co-founder, but we've got people all the way from Brazil to Vietnam, so a big mix. Before that, I've been a VC. So I was a VC in London, investing into tech businesses, mostly B2B SaaS. And then I moved to Vietnam and built Vietnam's first employee benefits platform. So different experience, but always within early stage technology, I suppose. Cool. Thank you. Right. So no code tools. Blanca, you asked, like, what are the most popular ones? I think that's a good question. I'm in favor of using most popular no-code tools where you can, rather than trying to experiment too much. That is because there are strong network effects here as well, in that when you're learning a tool, and even when you've been using it for a year or 2 years, the strength of the community is a really, really important point, because no one knows how to use Bubble from day one. No one knows how to use anything else. So I wouldn't be too tempted to kind of shop around and try. There are some market leaders, and I would kind of try and stick within them. So within Blue Mongoose, what we usually think about is, what is the simplest tool that we can use to achieve the what the client wants, and yeah, within some constraints, right? And there's really a trade-off, I think, in no-code tools, where if you have more products like features and UI flexibility, UX flexibility, all that kind of stuff, the tool is going to be more complicated, right? Whereas on the other side, you can make the tools that have the most gentle learning curve, you will hit a ceiling in terms of what you can do and how much you can change the appearance of the platform more quickly, right? So thinking about this kind of scale, right? We use Glide and Softer for the more simple applications. These are good for a kind of simple marketplace business. Blanca, for that idea that we were just speaking about, it would be perfect for that, right? I would recommend checking that out. We recently built a platform that helps founders make discovery calls, right? So it matches founder exactly. Yeah. Software is also another one. So I would use that if budget was low, to be honest. If we needed to deliver really, really quickly, and if there was, you can use Google Sheets and Airtable as a database for this. So it's super, super user friendly, right? So thinking about if you guys are new to no codes and you want something that will have a gentle learning curve, I would really try and do everything you can in Softer or Glide apps. They're basically the same first. But best thing to do with any no-code tool, if you are wondering whether or not your platform can be built there, is go into those sites, check the templates and the case studies, and see if anything like that has been built before. And more often than not, it will be, and you can steal a template. So if you're new, I'd always start there. We don't use templates, or we use our own. But if you're new to the game and you want to know, like, for the first couple, like what good looks like, I'd start there and then you can modify it. So on this scale, Glide and Softer is probably like the best one to start with. Moving along, Bubble. I understand from Yulia that you guys have been kind of experimenting with it. Yeah, it's a great tool. It is complicated, right? It's not. I think when people say no code, they expect to be able to pick it up in a couple of weeks. It's challenging, honestly. Like, I wouldn't hire a Bubble developer that had less than a year's experience. So if you're starting a business and you don't know Bubble already, I would try and, like, you need to focus on clients. You can't, like, it's really, really difficult to learn a new tool at the same time as like doing all this like crazy stuff that you need to as a founder. So either use something like Glide and Softer, which I think you can probably pick up, or find like a freelancer or whatever to at least help. If like you're kind of already in Bubble and like that's kind of what you're doing, that's fine. But just try and keep it as absolutely simple as possible. It's very easy for Bubble applications to become really, really complicated. And the way to, hedge against that basically is just keeping it super, super niche. Bubble is very good for web applications. So anything, it's good for kind of optimized like mobile stuff as well, but less good for mobile apps. I guess the nice thing about Glide and Softer is that you can have what's called a progressive web app, which is kind of halfway between an app and a website. It's not on the App Store, but it does live on your phone's home screen, so that's cool. Bubble doesn't offer this out the box anyway. So if you think things like push notifications and any other kind of native app functionalities is going to be important, think about Glide. If you're building like B2B businesses, like for example, Blanket, I would suggest that mobile will be very, very important for you, what you're doing, right? I would imagine at least 70-80% of your traffic will come through mobile. So yeah, important to like think mobile first there. For B2B software companies, different story. So I would always recommend Bubble for something like that. If you like the kind of more complicated version of Glide and Softer, if you're thinking just about mobile, will be Flutterflow. This is basically a version of Bubble, or not a version, like the equivalent of Bubble in terms of complexity, but focused on native apps. Flutter, not Flutter. Again, I honestly couldn't recommend trying to learn it if you're also building a business at the same time. That is like, it's tricky. It's not easy. I'm sure doable, but yeah, it's tough. And then, so those are the three tools that we use. Glide, Softer for the easier platforms, Bubble for more complicated web applications, and then Flutterflow for mobile apps. And yeah, Yulia did mention one called Thunkable. I haven't used that before, but it looks interesting. So maybe give that one a go as well. Is that helpful? Any questions?
Super helpful. Yeah, I had this conversation. One of my flatmates here works for a no-code company in Slovakia, and it's really cool because I can ask her questions. She can help me out every now. Well, I need to jump on her, of course, because after working hours, she's tired. But yeah, when she asked me which software I was using, and I told her that we were using Bubble, she smiled a bit and she said that, oh, that's quite an old one. And I didn't understand, like, is there such a thing that something is like, I mean, they have more or less the same functions, right? Like you can build pretty much everything with it.
I mean, Bubble is the Microsoft of no code, right?
Okay.
It's like, having looked around like lots of different options, it's the most powerful, most trusted, most stable, most secure, best community, right? If you can't do it in Bubble, then you probably need to code it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested to know which tool she prefers. Definitely.
I'm not sure I remember it correctly, but if I think she said Web3 or something like that. Is
WeWeb.
that probably that one? Yes, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Like, it's got its place, right? Like that. So WeWeb is an example of a front end only tool, right?
Yeah.
So you'd need to build like your database somewhere else.
Mhm.
That works if you have another database, but for the purposes of this conversation, like that becomes useful when your bubble application won't scale anymore. So that's like thousands of users. So using WeWeb for your initial users politely doesn't make sense, I'm afraid.
Okay, haha. Okay, I will tell her this. Good, thank you.
Cool. So I think if there was one takeaway from that big spiel of mine, I think it would be look at Glide and Softer. You might have to kind of like get comfortable with the slightly basic UI of the stuff that you build, but it's very, very easy. I built my girlfriend a Christmas present on Glide. It's that easy. It's very straightforward.
That's a really cool present, by the way. Yeah.
It's a financial like investment tracker thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very easy to do. If I can crack it out in a couple of days, then yeah, anyone can, I think.
Did you learn this online? Like, do you have a YouTube channel in mind that I could? Because I tried to look it up, and then I got overwhelmed and baby position in the bed. Like it was just a mental breakdown for me.
I don't, but the nice thing about all of these no-code platforms, Bubble, Flutterflow, Glide, Softer, right? These are commercial enterprises that need to attract users in order to make money. Python, React Native, Node.js, these coding languages do not, right? And what that means is that these companies will make it easy for you to learn, in theory, anyway. They will at least provide like good YouTube tutorials. They will like cultivate a strong community. So yeah, they are incentivized to help you learn, whereas with with traditional code, pro code, you need to pay someone like a Gridiron or whatever. But yeah, so I don't have a YouTube channel, but I know for a fact that there are lots of good ones on Glide and Softer, and their communities are super helpful.
Awesome, thank you.
What are the limitations of Glide and Softer?
Good question. So a UI UX is a big one for sure, right? Like you'd be like, oh, I want to move this button here, you can't, all that kind of stuff. So if you're a perfectionist, I guess number one, I would really try and encourage you to not be if you want to build a company. I think they're really like quite contrasting things, but that will frustrate you for sure. So that's a big one. Less a limitation, more a consideration. This is true to a different extent for all no-code tools, but your costs will increase with both the number of users you have and the like intensity of the functionality that you have. So when you like, yeah, if you suddenly get like tens of thousands of users, then you can expect that you're going to have to kind of increase your plan, and it can get quite expensive. But the cost savings in terms of having a developer are just like significantly more. So I still don't think it like influences or shouldn't influence your decision, but it is consideration. What else is there? If you're working with very, very sensitive data, sometimes you need to be on a higher plan. So kind of out the box, Softer is kind of a front end for Google Sheets or Airtable, right? And so if you're holding really, really secure data in Google Sheets or Airtable, you shouldn't do that. So you kind of need to go on a higher plan. Yeah. from memory, you also need to go on a higher plan if you have like, if you want to basically allow users to view only their own data. So, for example, one of our clients that we built on Glide is a sales commission tool for car dealerships. And it's important that salesperson A does not see the commission of salesperson B. That's very bloody important. And so, yeah, we basically had to go on a bit of a higher plan to make sure that they couldn't see each other's stuff. That could be relevant in your dating application, like those are the main ones. Those are the main ones, I would say.
So, on the example of Blanca's dating application, what struggles can you foresee with, with one of those glider software?
So I'm just going to kind of run through how I imagine the user journey might be, like live, so to speak. So the user sign up flow where users kind of basically fill in the form about what they're about. That's super easy. That's kind of textbook gliding software. And then for an MVP, Blanca, I guess I would. So would you let the users, like, would you be the matchmaker, or would you let the users match with each other?
I would probably let them match with each other, but I would limit them with how many matches they can have.
Okay. So
and then I would. Oh, sorry.
No, you go. You go.
I don't know if this still connects to it or which page we are on right now, but I would probably limit the time that they can stay online as well. Like I would just limit them that you can chat with each other for, I don't know, 3 days. And then if you both like each other, you have to set a date.
Cool. So I've just signed up. Then I see like a list of a load of profiles, and then I choose a few to match. This will be fine on Glide. Would it look like incredibly sexy? No. Would it do the basic functionality? Yes, right. And then the chatting bit might be a little clunky, to be honest, on Glide. Yeah, that might be a tricky thing, right? Even on Bubble, to be honest, like chatting is something that we take like for granted now, right? It's kind of like when people just want a search functionality as good as Google, like WhatsApp chat is like an incredible thing. Like we take it for granted now, but replicating that kind of functionality in another application is not like incredibly straightforward. Can you do it on Glide? Yes. Would you feel like we're just used to like emojis and GIFs and all this kind of stuff and like sending photos to each other and that jazz, and replicating that chat functionality within a no-code application is not nothing, if you know what I mean. It would could you find a template that would like let you kind of copy that in? Maybe, but that would be something that I would think about. I mean, you could make it easier by just being like, okay, could you like use Calendly and just, okay, you chat to each other for 20 minutes instead of just the boring back and forth, right? That could be a little bit different as well.
Or need to buy a couple of pigeons and maybe
yes.
letters.
But that can be a great idea, like having a live video call. Exactly. And after that, confirming and getting another like contact of the person. If they want,
yeah. So yeah, you just kind of, it's kind of like speed dating, but on like you actually get to chat. I wish, like, I think, you know, when you're on a first date, right, and just unfortunately within 5 minutes you've kind of made your decision. I always thought, right, or at least you know within 5 minutes whether or not you don't like someone. Unfortunately, right? It's just what it is. And if you could kind of qualify that out, to use like sales funnel terminology, slightly crudely, with a video call, that would be cool, right? But yeah, so let's imagine that we have the chat functionality, or we're kind of organizing a video call. Then we could quite easily, like after that, oh, blanket, yes, very polite, help me out.
So what if instead of calling each other, they would just upload a 1 minute video about themselves, like introducing themselves, and then, you know, because a lot of people would feel very, very I wouldn't, but I know majority of the people would be like, nah. And also they don't really like to call people nowadays. So yeah, what if they presented themselves very briefly in a fun way,
I like
and
it.
then them based on that?
I really like it. I actually use that strategy to try when I was hiring people. So it's kind of the same as dating, actually, that when you have like a 1 hour interview with someone, you're like, fuck, like this is a total disaster. And so what I asked people to do was just send me like a 1 minute video. I gave them a question, and some people definitely printed out this script and read it, and it was quite awkward, but whatever. But yeah, maybe like I think it would be nice if it was specific for each match, maybe. I don't know why, that just seems like maybe you're both asked the same question, and then you both record a video answering, I don't know, like, what would your perfect house look like, right? And then yeah, something like that. And that's different, right? It doesn't feel like Tinder or whatever. So that could be cool. Okay, so let's pretend it's that. And then maybe we could limit the number of like, and then so, okay, you do one question and then you decide, do you want to never see them again? Do you want to do another question, or do you want to meet? And then we could give them a limit maybe of like 3 days or 3 questions, and then they can, yeah, then they meet, and then like you automatically send each other like the WhatsApp number of the other person, I guess. Yeah, that would be very doable. I'm glad.
Like that. I want to try this now. Can I be even more mysterious? And after they did the video stuff, like sending the videos, and setting a date, can I create a quest for them, or like let them know that no need to think about the location, because take care of that, and maybe 12 hours before the date it's going to be reveal where they need to meet in the future? Can I that?
Of course. And like technically that's nothing if you think about it, right? Like it's just a box that you like, you have to do your research, and then so that's technically very easy to do, and it'd be fun, right? It takes the pressure off someone to think of a good location, for sure. And it lets you down the line, that could be a cool way for you to monetize, right?
Yeah, sounds fun.
I love
it. Nice.
Excited.
I feel like one of the goals for today's session is achieved. Blanca is inspired and has a clear action step. That's nice. Cool. Anything else that you would like, Mary, maybe you or Blanca, ask regarding the no-code platforms? Mary,
everyone's so polite. I love it. Yes, Mary, how can I help?
Okay. I'm sorry I'm late.
No problem.
Okay. I wanted to ask something. In terms of storage, Bubble give the exact amount that you will only have access on, like maybe 4 GB of the storage, or it's like whatever it is, or you can use whatever or store whatever you want.
Yeah. So you're asking on Bubble, are there limitations in terms of storage?
Yes.
It's a great question, and the answer is yes. It's a way that they get you to pay more, to be honest. And if you want to, you can basically just like increase the plan that you're on. But so at the moment, we're building a platform for an edtech company that helps new fathers like watch masterclasses and all this kind of stuff, so they're better fathers. And we are hosting the videos off Bubble, and that's a very important thing. It also makes your app run more quickly. So if you're using videos, maybe high res photos, that's something to think about. But I think for that initial step, right, like for your 0 to 1, it shouldn't trip you up, but something to bear in mind for sure. Glide might be the same, but if you're kind of, I would blanket for your idea to get around that and to just increase the loading time. I would just say, guys, use Loom, it's free. And then you have the URL of the Loom video rather than like it being actually hosted on Glide. So yeah, Mary, do you have like a specific use case in mind that you want to speak about? Maybe I can be a bit more specific.
Mari, yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sorry, can you repeat again?
Sure. So I was asking if you have a specific use case in mind or a specific reason that you asked that question, and maybe I can be a bit more specific and helpful.
Oh yeah, I thought about the way I have a little background of coding. So mostly when I'm coding and I'm seeing my database here locally. So I was thinking if it's similar to the way I'm used to.
It could be like you have the option of storing everything locally on your Bubble database. That's an option, right? We do that where it's like data rather than images or videos. But anything images or videos, well, images we could keep, but videos, we'll use something else.
Okay, and how about if you talk about the issue of if you have sensitive data that you want to keep them, is it secure for the clients to trust the database?
Yes, yeah, good question. So it depends like what you mean by secure, to be honest. So we have like I don't know how big they are, $100 million revenue client in the US, big corporate. They use a combination of Bubble and Airtable, right? Is it as secure as like a government website? No, but is it enough for like an internal enterprise software? Yes. Things to kind of think about, or that you need to do more research is, are you touching any medical information, right? If you are, then you need to, yeah, it's not easy, to be honest. It's quite complicated, but Bubble probably isn't the answer. If you're working with like any government clients or you're producing software for governments, then no code as a whole is going to be tough, to be honest. Apart from that, if you're those two verticals, if your solution is well built, then there shouldn't be any problems. Let me quickly send you something that we use for our security and monitoring. It's called Flux. They're a French company, and you can scan your applications before we release them to clients.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was very helpful.
Good.
In terms of the time of development, so how? Yeah, I think it's easy to talk on the example of specific use cases. So in case of dating app, what is the estimated amount of time for someone who is familiar and unfamiliar with platform?
Fair enough. I guess kind of almost stepping back a bit, what I would always recommend before you build is at least some kind of basic wireframes. So they can be like, we do them on Figma, but you can do them on really any tool. And with Glide and Softer, I don't think there's much more point going to like a full like design, because what you can actually do in Glide and Softer is relatively limited, if you know what I mean, in terms of design. So I would do a very, very basic wireframe, which kind of, you can see all of the user flows. If you had that in place, I would say like my Glide developer, she is a bit of a machine. She's very good. Like full time, maybe like 2 weeks, I would say. And if you've, maybe less actually, 1 to 2 weeks, let's say, if I'm not bothering her with anything else and she can focus. But for someone that's like, yeah, hasn't used it before, maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe. Yeah. But like, I think Glide and Softer is a really, really good tool to learn, to be honest. If at work, right? Because I'm guessing that people kind of have other jobs, right? If you have lots of spreadsheets that you use at work, these can be massively improved by Glide and Softer, and you kind of only understand what I mean when you start using it. But I think that's a really like good tool to learn that's super transferable, and yeah, will definitely help you sort out something like this. In Bubble, I would say my devs would probably do that if we had designs done within like 4 weeks. So it takes about twice as long as Glide. Maybe a bit more. But yeah, for someone that's never used Bubble before, I mean, it will take a while for you to be honest, to like get to a standard where you could do that. If like you're very relaxed about the UI and it doesn't need to look good, that's a bit easier. But if you want something that you're like, that you'd be, if you're worried about like embarrassing you, basically, if it's kind of for paying users, then it might take a bit longer. If it's for friends, if it's for like a beta user group, okay, maybe you can just about figure it out. But getting like things to look beautiful in Bubble, that's I think where the skill comes.
Okay, Blanca.
And this data is not transferable, right? Like if I start working on one of the softwares, can I send it to a different one to make it prettier, or is that possible?
No, unfortunately not. So Glide has a strong vested interest for you to stay in Glide, right? Just like Bubble doesn't want you to be able to download the source code and start coding, right? So no, like you pay a monthly fee, and just like Netflix doesn't want you to leave to Amazon Prime, right? It's the same shit.
Yeah, makes sense. Julia, sorry.
No, I was just saying, unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, from the business side. Yeah. Are we allowed to use different softwares, Julia?
Yes, for sure.
To be honest, when I was practicing this Bubble, it just feels a tiny bit uncomfortable to me. I'm not sure why. Maybe the logic behind it is just not a perfect fit, maybe.
It's fun, right? Like it takes a long time to be competent, I think, in Bubble. right? The best developers, the best Bubble developers that we have used to be pro code developers, right? It's the no code tool, I think, that is closest to traditional coding, in my opinion. It's the most powerful. Like a lot of the Glide applications that we build, when they get to a certain scale and when we want to scale them, then we'll move to Bubble.
Okay, that I don't feel that terrible about it. Yeah, because I'm like, oh my God, is it just me?
Like, it's a trade-off, right? Like they need to give you lots of options so that I think they're targeting the market basically of people that need to build like applications for multi-million-dollar companies in addition to like, rather than helping people go from 0 to 1. I think Glide are more focusing on that market, is my sense. So yeah, if you can kind of do a bit of Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, then Glide is like a kind of step up from that, but it's not radically different. Mary, yes.
I thought about something. After completing developing maybe the app from Bubble, do you
Yes.
have to pay for the launching?
Yes, you do.
With every no-code tool, pretty much you do, because as we discussed before, all the no-code platforms, they are like companies, they are businesses, so they make it the most user-friendly way as possible. But then you have to pay like usually it's monthly fee for using the platform.
Bubble is $32 a month. Glide, I think, is $25. And yeah, that's what you need to basically put an app into production.
Okay, can the app be available also maybe in the Play Store or?
So for Glide and Softer, no, you can have like it's called a progressive web app. So it's kind of like an app, but it's not on the App Store. For Bubble, there's no native functionality to add it to the App Store yet. They say they're bringing it out, but not yet. But you can use like a native app wrapper, it's called, and basically there are lots of solutions that lets you turn a web app into a native app and then put it on the App Store. That said, my recommendation is that if you don't have to, don't do this. Like every time you want to push a bug or a new feature, you need permission from both Google and Apple. You're basically going to be kind of dealing with 2 code bases at once. It's a ball ache. So if you can avoid it, do. But yeah, if it has to be a mobile app, check out Flutterflow.
Okay, thank you.
So with Flutterflow, you can later add it to App Store or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's its strongest advantage in my opinion.
Okay, it really is. All right, so should we move to the next topic? And sure. I would probably start with the question. So we discussed in our very first call that clients, with what request do people normally come to you? So is it the request that I have an idea and can you now turn it into a feasible application that I can get money from? Or is it this idea for the idea validation? And you said mostly people are pretty confident about their solution. So with regards to that, and probably the client needs and demands, what is the normal development process for the apps?
Yeah, so in a lot of companies or kind of founders come to us and ask us to build apps with probably less demand validation than they should do, if you know what I mean. And so I think, and I definitely, when I was a founder, I made this mistake, but it's easy to fall in love with your idea without actually working out whether or not people will use or pay for it, right? And so I always try and get my clients to do that first before we build for them. That said, like a lot of them just don't think it's required. So we have a kind of combination of people that just have an idea and then they want to build it, through to people that have spent weeks or months kind of getting contracts from clients and doing all this kind of stuff. I would recommend trying to understand demand for your service before you build anything, right? A good like halfway house. So always, like now it's very, very easy to spin up a landing page, right? It's like Hard or any of these AI landing page builders where you can describe the problem you're solving and have like a simple form there that will collect leads, right? And so I'd always recommend clients to do that. It can literally take like 1 to 2 days. And then if people are signing up for your product or service there, right, then okay, cool. Maybe it's worth investing money. But I think it's an easy trap to fall into, to be like, oh, if only I had a product and people would be interested. But often it's not the case. So I guess long answer, but we have a big mix of people that have done lots of demand validation, lots of people that are just on the idea, but I always try and get people to validate first, even if it means that I lose some revenue, to be honest. But it's okay. In terms of what the process looks like, so first step, landing page, if they don't have one, just to kind of validate some demand. Try and get as many like user interviews as possible so that when we're designing the solution, you know, like roughly what people are going to think of it. I'm a big believer in clickable prototypes. So on Figma, you can design how your app's going to look like, and then you can kind of click through it so it feels like a real application. And then you can show that to people and get their feedback. It doesn't actually work, if you know what I mean. Like, it wouldn't be a working application, but you could create like a little marketing video, you can show it to clients, you can try and understand how much they pay for it. And so we try and get one of those out the door in between 2 and 4 weeks. And then that's also a really, really good thing to give to developers, right? If you try to describe something, maybe have a nice written scope, give it to a developer, it might work, but also like you don't really know, to be honest. So we design everything before we build it, and then we try and release a first version with 6 weeks of development. If you're developing for longer than 6 weeks, the chances are that it's too complicated. So we try and basically steer our clients to having a more focused V1. Does that make sense?
For me, absolutely. What about you girls?
Yes, it does, of course.
So 6 weeks is the timing that you, I think, mostly selected. Like, okay, you selected it both for yourself and for the client. So it's the time frame which helps you to navigate whether the development process is not too complicated, and also client would benefit from it.
Exactly. Yeah. You have less to test. It's easier to understand, like, are you solving like a really specific pain point if you have a smaller feature set? It's easy to convince yourself that you just need more features. But really, if you're onto something good, like, you will know from your first feature if it's working or not. So definitely recommend to keep it as simple and as focused as possible to start with.
Are you guiding the clients through the whole process with like the landing page and user interviews and then Figma designs, or do you?
So on the validation, like the demand validation stuff, I'm kind of led by the client on that, right? And I guess kind of as like value add advice, I'll try and steer them in the right direction and say if this is enough validation or not. but ultimately they need to speak to the clients. I can't kind of do that for them, if you know what I mean. And then in terms of some clients like have a very specific idea of what the solution needs to look like, and great. And then we're just a pen, if you know what I mean. And it's like iteration. But some people have absolutely no idea what the idea needs to look like, and that's fine. And we can, like, it might take a little bit longer, if you know what I mean, just to make sure that we're on the same page, but we're pretty comfortable with that as well.
Girls, any questions from your side?
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, if I was a client and let's say I have this dating app idea,
Yeah.
I can go up to you with the idea I have right now. Like, do I need to further narrow it down or think about it more? Or this is enough for you to plan out the whole thing?
So we would probably need to have another meeting or so. And then I would like write a scope and then give it to you, see if it makes sense. And then if it does, great. Then we could go from there.
So it's like in the movie industry, like I'm the director and you're basically the cameraman who does everything and you have the technical knowledge and the background.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, now you know how to explain your services to clients.
Okay. You're the director, I'm everything else. I like that. I might stick there. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, any other questions? Julia, were there any other segments on the agenda? I forget.
Yeah, like I suggested, the last topic would be in general, like to talk about the business, the no-code agency. Maybe someone is curious how you started it, maybe more like details of how it functions.
I'll give like a quick overview about like how it started, how it works. Happy to answer any questions. So I created it because I was a non-technical co-founder. I didn't code and all this kind of stuff, and I found it really hard to build products. So I basically created the solution that I wish I had as a founder. And I started off myself freelancing. Then I hired some freelancers, and then it kind of just grew from there, really. And it's as a business to run, it's different to like building like a dating app, right? You are selling time, not a product. Some ways that's good. It's kind of, if you do it right, it's profitable from day one, instead of a dating app which could go for 10 years, get to $1 billion in revenue and still not make any profit, and that would be okay, right? So this kind of like my business, it doesn't scale particularly well, right? If I want to double the number of the amount of revenue, I probably need to double the number of people in the team. So when you're building that kind of business, you need to bet that your execution in different areas is going to be better than the competitors, right? So that, like, I personally prefer that, having built software products, raised VC capital, and then basically see your bank balance going down and down and down and down. It's quite stressful. I don't really want to do that again. I would rather build a business that it will never be a unicorn, but I'm kind of okay with that. If it's profitable and growing and I can, work a sensible number of hours a week, that's cool with me. In terms of our clients, so we work with like early stage startups, but increasingly no code is getting more traction with bigger businesses as well. So yeah, we like kind of, I would say 20%, 30% maybe of our clients are bigger like enterprises, not big enterprises, but like 100, 200 person companies. And I think that trend will continue. I think my heart is with startups, but my head might be with the bigger companies who are kind of like, but let's see. What else? Yeah, like I said, there's like lots of good no-code development talent, but I love it when developers can already code. I think it gives you a really, really good foundation.
And do you hire mostly developers here locally in Portugal, or?
No, actually. Not because I don't want to, if you know what I mean. It's just that there are phenomenally talented people kind of all over the world who are a bit cheaper, to be transparent, right? Like I've got this guy from Macedonia who is just unbelievable, honestly. I've got my 2 designers, 2 girls from Vietnam, like incredible. And really at its core, my business, if you had to encapsulate it, is like facilitating really talented developers and designers from the emerging markets who wouldn't be able to work with companies directly, and I kind of like add value in that gap. And so we would have to grow quite a lot, and I would need to get better paying clients in order to, I guess, change that makeup of who makes up the team. But never say never, right? Who knows? Yeah. I found my co-founder in Eddie Sader, believe it or not. So, yeah. But he's Dutch, so it doesn't count.
I don't remember where you are from.
The UK.
UK.
Yeah. So near London, fairly anonymous place called Surrey. If anyone knows England.
Yeah. Well, I can keep asking questions, but I will give space to Mary and Blanca.
I mean, no? Toby helped me a lot with my ideas, so I don't know. I'm thinking now. I'm inspired. I think I need to grab my notebook and start. I need to think it through a tiny bit. No questions on my side. No further questions.
Cool. Well, I'll be on LinkedIn, and I'm always down to chat about ideas.
Thank
you. Yeah. Maybe like one more question from my side. So currently, where like you're getting mostly clients through which channel? Is it referrals, B2B sales, marketing?
Mostly referrals, actually. It's not very scalable. It's actually my mission of 2024 is to develop more scalable routes to market. LinkedIn, I know, can be a big channel for us. I just can't pull my finger out and find the time to write about interesting stuff. But things like, I believe that LinkedIn could be my channel for startup founders, and actually cold email can be a big channel for us with on the bigger company side. But it's the kind of like the chicken and egg problem, right? Like I don't have enough time to do that because I'm too involved with clients, and I can't, like at the moment I'm trying to get out of this, like I need to hit like escape velocity, if you know what I mean. And that is my challenge right now. And that is the challenge of any agency business like mine, I think, that as a founder and like de facto head of sales, marketing, finance, everything, finding the time to focus on scalable routes to market is what means that every kind of agency, or a lot of them, die at kind of my, or like just keep staying at my area. So long answer to a short question, but referrals, but aspirationally LinkedIn and cold email.
Yeah. Did you explore like the sales tools, so like tools for sales, like Ample Market? They have pretty high fees, but they are pretty good.
Ample Market?
Yeah.
Cool. What do they do?
For LinkedIn, cold reach out, they basically give you like the contact information, and you can very easily sort all the contacts out there, plus customize the like email like templates. So with with the names, etc., and providing very detailed data. For example, one of the things that made me personally like very impressed, you can click on the LinkedIn ad and see the list of people who would have clicked on this ad before. So
That
that's
is
kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's very cool. Interesting. Nice. Thank you. I'll check this out. What I am using for like basically LinkedIn automation, I'll describe it, is another French company. Relaxi. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So you can, if you have Sales Navigator, you can say, okay, I want to say hello, first name. Like you can create these like connect or like follow if they don't follow you back, connect when they connect, send this message, and that can be quite useful. I don't know if I'd recommend it for like anyone, or maybe it's good for demand validation in addition to sales actually, but yeah, not super cheap, but not super expensive either. Yulia, if you were me, where would you find more clients?
I think I would be doing like cold reach out. Starting with that, like having like training a good person to do this work and doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah. That's it. Like it's another chicken and egg, right? Like I know that I shouldn't be doing it myself, but I just can't seem to find the time to like get someone to do it for me. But yeah, I will check this out. This looks good. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that it was already very, very informative. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Glad to hear it.
Thank you very much. It was very, very useful. Thank you for your time.
No, you're welcome. Well, Yulia, thank you very much for the invite. And guys, have a great evening. Enjoy the sun.
You too.
Same to you. Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye. Have a good evening. Blanca, Mari, if you want to stay, we can also chat more about your project. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Toby.
It's the notes, yeah. Like the note taker, we'll see. We should have the transcript of the whole meeting.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It was just, wow, okay. Well, this is going to be in the notes.
Okay, I will not remove it now. Let it stay, but we can talk.
Okay. Well, on my side, I think I have a lot to think about, right? Like, first of all, I need to like probably draw. When he said that you can use this and this and this tool, I was instantly thinking I can also use a pen and a paper and just start drawing it, right? Like I don't really need a tool to create a wireframe. And then, I need to just collect some people, right? And maybe create like a list of questions. And then that's it. But I'm really excited about this idea because this also requires some